Welcome to Conversations, Season 2 of the MTA Podcast Series, a weekly audiocast featuring interviews with leading investment strategists, geopolitical experts, and other key thought leaders, brought to you by the Market Technicians Association, and your host, Ed Carlson.
It evolved over several stages as I was making observations, principles on market behavior. But I found that there were associated problems on how to implement these principles. So the whole methodology is nothing but a journey to find the solutions to these issues. Tuesday, September 14th, 2010, and we are back. This is Conversations, the official MTA Podcast Series, Season 2. This month, to celebrate the opening of the new MTA office in London, we are featuring an all-Britain slate of guests. And today's guest is the chairman of the MTA's new London office, Alex Spiroglou. Alex is an investment manager for Odin Capital Management, a global macro investment management firm where he set up the proprietary trading department and designed the in-house training course. Before joining Odin, he spent 2 years at Futex Proprietary Group, trading futures across all asset classes. Previously, he was researching and developing intermarket trading strategies for the Ulysses Global Macro Hedge Fund. Before that, he was at the derivative sales and trading desk of Intergon Capital Finance, where he was doing advisory derivatives portfolio management and heading the Northern Greece desk. Alex started his career on the equity sales and trading desk at Contalexis Financial Services in 1999, one of the top 5 broker-dealers in Greece at that time. He later headed the Northern Greece derivatives desk. Alex holds a bachelor's degree in banking and international finance from Cass Business School in London. He holds a certified financial technician designation by the International Federation of Technical Analysts, the Diploma of Technical Analysis administered by the Australian Technical Analyst Association, has a full member designation of the Society of Technical Analysts in the UK, the Investment Management Certificate administered by the UK Society of Investment Professionals, Market Maker/Trader license administered by the Athens Derivatives Exchange, and the Investment Consultant license administered by the Hellenic Capital Markets Commission. Alex Spiroglou, Chairman Spirglou, welcome to the program.
Welcome. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're just delighted to have you here today. We're very excited to not only find out more about yourself, but to find out what the MTA is doing in London. And let's start right with that. The MTA is opening up a new office in London. You're an integral part of that. Can you start by giving us kind of the big picture, the view from 35,000 feet? What is going on here with the MTA's move into London?
Brilliant. Okay, let's start from the very beginning. As you well know, the MTA has a very large part of the activities hosted online, which means that it was a very fertile ground to grow membership from outside the United States. As local British technicians started joining in to take advantage of the services, the numbers increased to a large number, actually a very large number, and they demanded to have a local presence here in the UK in terms of having a local chapter. So the MTA decided it's the right time to create one and satisfy the demand here for people to meet, network, and grow among each other. Is
that pretty much the goal, or is there a specific goal for the MTA that you're aware of?
No, actually, I would say that just the beginning of the whole journey. The chapter efforts revolve around building a forum for 2 purposes. The first one is to increase our technical trading insights and techniques, basically our technical and trading knowledge. And the second one would be to expand our professional network. So basically it's knowledge and networking.
Okay. Now, I didn't see the CMT designation amongst all these designations you've got here. How is it you became involved with the MTA and took this leadership role?
Actually, that's a good question. Well, I didn't have the designation, unfortunately, because when I started out my career around in late 1998, and I wanted to explore technical analysis further. Actually it's a long story how I got involved with it. But at that time, the society that had the best, to put it that way, manual, not examination procedure, but manual for the exams, felt that was the Australian Technical Analysts Association. We had a big course. So in order to get as much help as I could, I followed that instead of the MTA. I wasn't too familiar with it, and the chairman of the Australian Technical Analysts Association at that time was a Greek who became a very good friend of mine, Peter Pondikis. So that made me tilt towards that way, sort of like nationalist reasons as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, why don't you bring us up to date on exactly how you're doing with getting things started there in London? I understand you're on the verge of an agreement for a physical location.
Oh, yeah. We actually spoken to a very high-profile university here for the UK. We have unofficially agreed to be sharing their locations, and we have very ambitious plans on how we can cooperate with the local academic community. Yes, they actually have quite an interesting expansion plan. The means we'll try to implement these plans should be basically we'll have theme-based activities. The first goal we'll have, of the two goals we have, which is to provide technical trading insight and techniques, will be achieved primarily by inviting speakers to present their technical trading techniques, but with one provision, that there will be A, actionable, B, quantified and back-tested, and C, based on technical tools, as we aspire to each and every of our theme-based monthly meetings to provide practical knowledge. Not only that, but we also want to have some of the meetings in the form of a strategy summit, that is, invites two speakers at the same time who specialize on the same issue, for example, say on trend strength or intermarket analysis, so we can hear two views at the same time. And of course, we would also like to have expansion of professional networking. That will be achieved by designing networking abilities that enable us to meet fellow technicians and create further, say, employment opportunities or make new businesses.
Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to continue with Alex Spiroglou in a moment, but first a reminder that on next week's program, we'll have Jeff Wilkinson from Mint Equities in London. Alex, let's go ahead and talk about Alex Spiroglou for the remainder of the program. As a matter of fact, I often find it's a good way to start is to take another look at that opening quote. Let me reread that. It evolved over several stages as I was making observations, principles on market behavior, but I found that there were associated problems on how to implement these principles. So the whole methodology is nothing but a journey to find the solutions to these issues. I read that, and then I hear what you just said. What you just told us was one of the requirements for your speakers, which was a backtestable methodology. To paraphrase you, is it always possible to backtest a workable methodology? I mean, isn't all the mathematics involved in market analysis and I think everyone would agree economics these days? Isn't it all a little on shaky ground? And sometimes we have to work more from phenomenology, that is, a study of what actually works, whether it's head and shoulders or triangles, and maybe not always get hung up on the quant side of things?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a very good question. Actually, there are two schools of thought, and one is the completely discretionary, where it leans on the trading is an art, and the other one, which is trading is a science. Basically, I find myself in between these two camps, because I think trading is a bit of both. Some aspects can be quantified, and some others cannot. But that said, I feel more comfortable if a strategy has been backtested. Now, how you choose to implement that is a different issue. Maybe you want to be in control of when you pull the trigger, which means that will classify you as a semi-systematic or a discretionary trader, or you want to go fully automated. But personally speaking, I feel much more comfortable if something has been back-tested because, A, it shows me if it can work, because most of the ideas, or some of the ideas that you have or think that you're correct, when you just start running numbers, they see that they don't work at all, and also gives you a rough idea of what's the maximum you can expect of a strategy, because basically backtests are the best-case scenarios. So it provides a lot of insight. Now, personally, I'm not fully systematic. I wouldn't let the computer trade for me. But I do need to have some insight of what is behind my idea of strategy.
Well, you know what? That's a great segue into something else I wanted to talk about, and I often bring this up in the interviews, but I suspect that your answer is going to be at least as interesting as most. Tell us what your typical day looks like. What is it you do?
Oh, I would say quite boring. Yeah, it is. Well, actually, I try to keep my days as programmed, as boring as pre-schedule, a bit of a time management freak, to tell you, to have a very large Excel spreadsheet where I know pretty much what I'll be doing up until about a month and a half ahead, almost to the hour. That includes both recurring jobs I have to do, such as trading, or others. So a typical day would include, say, open trade management. That would be, am I updating my stop loss levels and for my positions that run on end-of-day data.
Okay.
And then that would be, the second thing would be take on new positions and see if any of the markets of interest have given signals on the end-of-day basis data again, and place the orders. And from that point of view, I try my luck on intraday trading, and for that I use scanners to see for setups or patterns on an intraday basis. My average trades per day are 1 to 5. Usually it's 2 to 3, so it's not that intensive, which means I can do other things during the day as long as I'm not monitoring a position.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when that is when I have free time, when I don't have a position on, I either do research, which I love very much. I mean, I think intellectually it's much more challenging than trading itself. Or we are in the firm, we're bringing in new traders, so I try to train them on technical analysis while I'm trading, and show them how they can improve their performance.
Mm-hmm. You know, why don't you share with us what tools you keep in your toolbox? What are you using? What indicators do you use on a regular basis? What are some of your favorites?
Right. Well, actually, I started out. Well, I don't know. I'll just give you a bit of the timeline of how my methodology evolved, so maybe can make more sense. Mm-hmm. Basically, coming out of university, I was a fundamentalist, but I had a problem of how to follow, say, the hundreds of economic indicators and data and revisions to them. And that led me to technical analysis. But I found that technical analysis, although it was answering most of the questions that I couldn't do through fundamental analysis, but there were still other ones that were missing part of the picture. And that led me to intermarket analysis. So that's the first component. And but still, I found that intermarket analysis was had its own limitations as well, which were that it could provide a setup, a directional context, directional bias, but it wasn't a trigger. It couldn't provide entries for me. Mm-hmm. So the next step for me was to go into studying trend structure. Basically, it's what I call, which means not only looking at the trend itself, but also the momentum. and really do an in-depth study of what momentum is, and if it's gaining or if a market is losing momentum, and classify it in. I created about 6 stages of momentum, and for each stage of momentum, I tried to have the analogous entry techniques, because one of the other things that I eventually noticed in the markets that was not all entry techniques work across all types of environment, and sometimes pullbacks are a very good entry technique, but at other times the market doesn't give you enough of a pullback, so you just wait for it and it never comes, and when it comes it's just too late. Or breakout trading, sometimes the market has an explosive move out of a pullback, and at other times it just gives you a bit of a follow through, then comes back and catches you out. So after making these observations through trial and error, that mostly involved error, and I try to classify momentum so I can correlate the analogous entry technique into its level of momentum.
Okay. Do you use any, esoteric indicators like Elliott or Gann or cycles?
Basically, I think I don't use Elliott. I mean, Elliott wave, intellectually or theoretically, it might be correct. I do study the waves in terms of the trend structure. For example, let me give you an example. If a market, the definition of an uptrend is higher highs and higher lows. Now, if you study the time and price relationship between these highs and lows, and then you can get a gauge into how the market is moving. For example, if the relationship of the last upswing is larger than the swing before it, market is gaining momentum. Or if you see how much time the market is retracing, so basically in the retracement to breakout ratio, then you can see if you should be taking a breakout trade or a pullback. Then you can don't rely too much on Gann, but also very much study into intermarket analysis as a setup, and then you've got momentums, and then your entries.
Alex, I've found that one way to get to know somebody is to look at who they would quote as some of their greatest influences. Now, I know you're a great admirer of Larry Williams. Could you share with us what you see in his work that you like so much, and perhaps you have some other folks you'd like to name? Do you have any favorite books that you think people should be aware of? Can you give us a little insight here?
Yeah, of course. Well, when I started out, I basically discovered the technical analysis through the classic ones, I would say, John Murphy, Martin Pring, Edwards, and McGee. Then when I moved on to intermarket analysis, my main influences would be obviously John Murphy and Martin Pring's work. Then I read a bit of Mario Rosario's work as well. So these were in my initial years my main influences. But Larry was really the one that introduced me to the Commitment of Traders report. And also how to drive away from being a fundamental or a technical trader, but a conditional trader, as he termed it. He was
what is that?
What is a condition? His mindset is he's looking for high probability trades. I mean, he's not trying to create forecasts or anything. He just wants to have a setup with research its high probability and then focus on that. And I find that it was very, very close to my philosophy, because I try to drive away from being forecasting the markets, but rather than reacting. And my whole methodology evolves around how to react rather than taking a forecast. And I found Larry's approach was very much about that.
Interesting. Very.
Yeah, and another thing that Larry's work helped me was up until that time, I thought that I could use intermarket analysis only for medium-term trading, but through his work, I found that it can also be used for short-term trading as well as a setup tool again.
Okay. We're out of time. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's late in the day for you, and we're looking forward to a book from you sometime in the future. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we conclude today?
No, actually, what I would like to mention is that I would very much like to thank the MTA for the honor they did for trusting me with the chairmanship of the London chapter, and I'm sure we're going to do a very good job of spreading technical analysis throughout the UK.
Okay. Today's guest has been Alex Spiroglou, and that wraps up today's MTA podcast. From SeattleTechnicalAdvisors.com, I'm Ed Carlson, together with our recording engineer, Shane Squark in New York City. Say goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye, everybody.
Let's keep our stops tight. Good day.